Before the French Revolution, which started in 1789, French units of measurement were based on the Carolingian system, introduced by the first Holy Roman Emperor Charlemagne, which in turn were based on ancient Roman measures. Charlemagne brought a consistent system of measures across the entire empire. However, after his death the empire fragmented and many rulers introduced their own variants of the units of measure. Some of Charlemagne's units of measure, such as the pied du roi, remained virtually unchanged for about 1,000 years, while others, such as the orna and the livre, varied dramatically from locality to locality. By the time of the Revolution, the number of units of measure had grown to the extent that it was almost impossible to keep track of them. History. Although the pre-revolutionary era, when France used a system of measures that had many of the characteristics of the imperial system of units, there was no unified system of measurement in France. Whereas in England the Magna Carta decreed that there shall be one unit of measure throughout the realm. Charlemagne and successive kings had tried but failed to impose a unified system of measurement in France. The names and relationships of many units of measure were adopted from Roman units of measure and many more were added. It has been estimated that there were 700 or 800 different names for the various units of measure. Moreover, the quantity associated with each unit of measure differed from town to town and even from trade to the extent that the lef could vary from 3.268 kilometers in Beecher to 5.849 kilometers in Provence. It has been estimated that on the eve of the Revolution 250,000 different units of measure were in use in France. Although certain standards, such as the pied du roi, had a degree of preeminence and were used by savants, many traders chose to use their own measuring devices, giving scope for fraud and hindering commerce and industry. As an example, the weights and measures used at Pernes-les-Fontaines in southeastern France differ from those catalogued later in this article as having been used in Paris. In many cases the names are different, while the livre is shown as being 403 grams, as opposed to 489 grams, the value of the livre du roi. Tables of units of measure. These definitions use the Paris definitions for the coutume of Paris, and definitions for other ancient regime civil jurisdictions varied, at times quite significantly. Length. The medieval royal units of length were based on the toise and in particular the toise de la recrutoire, the distance between the fingertips of the outstretched arms of a man, which was introduced in 790 AD by Charlemagne. The toise has 6 pied, each of 326.6 mm. In 1668, the reference standard was found to have been deformed and it was replaced by the toise du Châtelet, which, to accommodate the deformation of the earlier standard, was 11 mm shorter. In 1747 this toise was replaced by a new toise of near identical length, the toise du Peru, custody of which was given to l'Académie des Sciences au Louvre. Other units of measure such as the orna, the percha, the arpent and the lef had a number of variations. Particularly the orna states that 1 decimal meter is exactly 443.296 French lines, or 3 pieds 11.296 lines de la toise du Peru. Thus the French royal foot is exactly 9,027,706 meters. In Quebec, the surveys in French units were converted using the relationship 1 pied equals 12.789 English inches. This makes the Quebec pied very slightly smaller than the pied used in France. The French typographic point, the Didot point, was 1/72 French inches, i.e., 2 royal points. The French pica, called Cicero, measured 12 Didot points. Area volume, liquid measures volume, dry measures mass. According to the law of 19 Frimaire and 8, the kilogram is equal to 18,827.15 grains. The kilogram is, in addition, defined as the weight of 1 cubic decimeter of distilled water at 4 degrees centigrade, i.e., at maximum density. Traditionally, the French pound was defined as the mass of exactly 1/70th of a French cubic foot of water. When the kilogram was defined, knowledge that a pied d'Ivoire cube filled with water masses exactly 70 French pounds was apparently lost. According to the traditional definition, 1 livre would have been about 489.675 grams. According to the kilogram definition, 1 livre was about 489.506 grams. The difference is about 0.035%. However, a small difference in salinity is enough to explain this difference. The units in the following table are calculated based on the kilogram definition of the livre.